It says it's waiting on you.
I'm connected. Boom. Woo!
Woo! We did it.
Touchdown.
I'm hanging up. Okay, cool.
All right.
Man.
All right.
My dude.
My guy.
How we doing, bro?
Come on, bro.
Man.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
Man, come on, my brother.
This is super long. This is way past overdue.
Isn't it?
A bunch of people gonna get blessed tonight.
He's gonna speak it into existence.
I mean, I already know. I'm not. That's not my concern at all.
Yeah.
They gonna get blessed tonight. They finally have two men and not males in this conversation about what is ailing our society.
Yes.
I really truly believe that a woman has obviously birthed our nation, but our men are going to have to heal this nation.
Okay.
Because we are at the males are at the center of damaging our brand. So by that, man is a brand. So if if man were a brand, nobody would buy us because males have been mischaracterized as men. So subsequently, our sisters have divested in us because they think that those, what I call in my upcoming book, Male versus Man, they have mischaracterized men for the grown males. The grown males,
there's a difference.
Have literally there's a huge difference. So I
want to get into that difference.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you.
Yes.
About everything in your philosophy, because I think your philosophy is so strong, and that's why I'm excited about your book that's coming out called, Man versus Male. I think it's going to tear it up. But before we get into this, we would be remiss if we didn't just get into the talk of the world right now, which is the Surviving R. Kelly documentary and the conversation that has been, started because of it. Earlier today, you did a post, man, and I just want to pull up, what you said here, which I thought was interesting, and I want to read it for everybody, and I want you to give us more insight. Here's what you wrote earlier today on Instagram. Yet another grown male that has consistently damaged girls, women, and the families who love them. Subsequently, he has damaged the brand of man. When girls and women experience a grown male like this, it's confusing because they have no language for what he is besides monster, pedophile, coward, expletives, and sadly, some still refer to him as a man. A man would never do what he's done. The truth is that I'm certain that he was violated when he was a kid, and that arrested his development as a man, and in turn activated his predatory behavior. However, that can never excuse his unthinkable acts. We have to stop glorifying these grown males for their talents and hold them to a standard of manhood first. R. Kelly is what happens when males don't have coaching and accountability. Okay, so there's a lot here to unpack. Talk to us about what inspired you to write the post. I have some feelings on this. I have some thoughts that come from my book, which I'll share, but I really want to hear from you first. What inspired you to write this book and break down some of these concepts, specifically the concept of what it means to be a man versus a male?
Well, every time I speak to sisters in particular, because they always say, well, you keep using the term males or male and man. Aren't those the same? And I said, absolutely not. Every man that you meet is a male, but not every male that you meet is a man, right? So let me break that down. In order for you to be a man, all you need is a penis and a pulse to be a male.
Yep.
A penis and a pulse. That's it. In order to be a man, you need purpose and precision. Your purpose is to be of service. That's your purpose. Every man, when God created us, his intention behind our creation was to be a servant.
Exactly.
Period and end of discussion. So
exactly.
Your purpose as a man, all men, your purpose is to be a servant. Your precision is how well you serve.
Amen.
So if every single sister looked at every single male that she encountered, based on those particular things, a male generally looks to be served. A man generally looks to be of service. So if every single woman encountered a male based on those definitions, she would immediately be able to figure out whether she has a grown male on her hands,
there you go,
or a man.
Grown. There
just
you go.
Based on that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
Amen.
if every single thing, and I know sisters get fooled. Sisters, I'm talking to you right now. I'm going to get closer because I want you to see your brother, okay? I love you. Listen to me right now. The grown males that you encounter are going to send their representative. That's the guy who he's acting like he is in order to win your hand and your heart, in order to get what he needs to service himself. Okay? Because a lot of sisters go, well, how do I know? You got to play the waiting game. Just like my brother DeVon wrote his book called The Wait, right? Along with my sister. You got to wait for a second, okay? In order for him to really, truly get comfortable in the space that he's in, he will reveal to you whether he is truly just a grown male or a man. Because eventually, he will literally just, the activity will just be about service to himself. A man is constantly in a space of service to the women and children in his life. All day long. Today, while my kids were at school, I was tapping away at my keys and writing my book. But above and beyond that, after that, everything was about the service of my wife and my children, period. That was it. So what most sisters don't understand is that they don't know what this concept is, because unfortunately, even their father, some of their fathers were grown males.
But let me interject there. I believe that not even just most sisters, most brothers, most men don't understand this difference.
I'm just talking about the sisters right now. We're gonna get to the brothers in a second.
Yeah, right.
If to your point, if a brother doesn't have his father in the house, and by that I mean, let me just say this: you don't have to be fathered by your biological parent, but you do have to be fathered.
Come on. That's right. Say it.
Period. Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have a man in your house that serves as the model that you mirror, you are going to turn out to be a grown male. Because contrary to popular opinion, and I want everybody to listen up and listen carefully to this right now, a woman cannot teach you. I'm gonna start this all over again because I could just feel Instagram going crazy right now.
I know where this is getting ready to go.
You know where I'm going. A woman cannot teach you how to be something she is not. Sisters, hear me out for a second. I love you, but I want you to listen to this.
Out, D.
I already know it, and I'm saying this. We're in a brand new year, 2019. We got to start this off right, DeVon. Let me just put it to you in this context. My mother taught me how to cook, because she said, I'm not going to be here to cook for you all the time. So I got to teach you how to cook. She taught me how to iron. She taught me how to do all of the things that I needed to do in order to not only take care of myself, but to take care of my family when I eventually had one. Okay? Just because she taught me how to cook doesn't make me a chef. It makes me a man who knows how to cook. Now, if I want to become a chef, I got to get under the tutelage of a chef. Right?
Yes.
So now, my mother taught me great principles of manhood. But in order for me to matriculate into my manhood and become a man, I had to get under the tutelage of a man. And for me, that was multiple men throughout my life. And even now that I'm engrossed in elevated spaces of manhood, I still have, to the point of my post about R. Kelly, I still have great accountability. Even though I'm in the highest elevations of manhood, I have great accountability. You are one of my accountability partners. My brother Hassani Pettiford is one of my great accountability partners. So if my brothers ever see me engaged in behavior that is not that of manhood, I will get a call from DeVon Franklin, from Hassani Pettiford. You feel me?
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
Dre,
Because we got to be accountable.
Doing?
But here, let's interject right there. So, you know, my father passed away when I was 9 years old. He died of a heart attack when he was 36. Right. So the same idea. I know your father didn't pass away. He just wasn't in the house growing up. So the same way that you had to put together different men in your life, I had to do the same. However, here's one thing that was really interesting, and I want to make sure we're clear on this, because there's a lot of women out there that are raising children on their own and raising young boys. And I think it's important for them not to feel hopeless in this endeavor. So as I was growing up, you know, my older brother, my younger brother, and my male cousins, one of the areas where we learned the most about manhood was from one of our great aunts, who literally, as a woman, talked to us as men. Here's what you need to know about sex. Here's what you need to know about, you know, how to deal with women. Here's what you need to know about yourself. Here's what you should do. Here's what you shouldn't do. And even to this day, we all reference that conversation from a woman that helped us as men figure it out. So I think it's so important that women that are listening understand that it is important for us as men to have men in our lives, because you and I would not be the men we are if we didn't have other men in our lives. However, the women in our lives poured so much into us and laid such a strong foundation. They were the consistency. All these other men came in. We had to put together a picture of fatherhood, whereas the women were the foundation. And so it's so important that any woman out there, when you're dealing with your children especially, you can be the foundation, but it is important to find men who can help build the life of the young boy that is in your life or that you are raising.
That's what we're discussing. So I'm glad that we came back to that, because first of all, we already know that the woman is truly the foundation of the family. She literally gives birth to the family.
That's right.
No woman, unless something is critically wrong with her, ever abandons her child. Something has to be seriously mentally wrong in order for her to abandon her child, because she housed her child in her for 9 months.
That's right.
So she's not going to abandon her child, right?
No.
Now, here's the interesting part about this, DeVon. Our women have been the foundation of our families since the dawn of time.
Yep.
But in order for a male to matriculate into his manhood and for it to be crystallized in a space where he gets elevated, he has got to be in front of men that hold him accountable. A sister who is bringing up a young son, to your point, has to find men, and I can hear some sisters now, well, if you see some, point them out, because I would love to know where they at. That's the what has happened in a space of grown males devastating our women. Right.
So let's this is what we're gonna get back to the R. Kelly thing. But this is really important. Why? And this is why I wrote my book, The Truth About Men. This is why I wrote the book. You know, what men and women need to know, because this question, this idea of why do we as men not take accountability and responsibility for who we are, our behavior, and we just keep excusing our behavior that is incomprehensible, right? Now, I know we talk about R. Kelly and that we're going to get to that, but the reality is, even the discussions that we're having now, and even the examples you're giving, a lot of men are absent from the life of the children that they have fathered. A lot of men are not being honest about their intentions with various women. A lot of men are doing a lot of things that just gets, put on the men will be men credit card. Why, my brother? Why do you think as men, we have such a hard time taking accountability and responsibility and becoming the man that you are articulating?
Well, what's interesting about that is so let's take my father, for example. My father was in and out of jail, right, for most of my life, particularly my developmental years. And I will never forget, this happened of about 4 years ago. My daughter came downstairs and sat next to me on the couch. And without a segue conversation, she literally sat down next to me and she said, "Dad, do you know where your father is?"
Deep.
And I took pause because I was not ready to have that conversation.
Deep.
God had sent me a messenger the first time in trying to get me to come to a space with my father in my wife. But I played the card. This is a man thing. You don't know nothing about this. Just leave that alone. And then that chased my wife away. But what God did was he sent the second messenger that I couldn't shoo away, which was my daughter. And what the conversation was with my daughter was, she literally didn't judge any conversation, any portion of the conversation. She literally sat there as I taught her in observation. I teach my kids, you have to observe in order to serve.
Come on now.
So what my daughter did was she listened to everything that her father told her, which was not good enough. And she literally said to me in that conversation, without saying any words, listen, whatever your problem is with your father, that's your problem, but don't take away my grandfather because of your problems.
Deep.
That was a harsh one.
Yeah.
What I got to in that moment was, the realization that I got to in that moment was, I needed to have empathy for my father. For the fact that my father couldn't father me because my father was unfathered himself. So to that point, in this Me Too Time's Up era that we're living in, our brother Idris Elba said something the other day. He said, it's only difficult to live in this Me Too era that we're living in if you have something to hide.
Right. Absolutely.
See? So if you don't have anything to hide, accountability is not a problem.
Right.
But here's our biggest issue.
Yes.
If nobody ever teaches you what it is to truly be a man, and that men seek out accountability, then you never seek out accountability for yourself, because the street teaches you that there's game. Oh man, he got game. He got game. A man don't have game. The game of a man is not having game. That's the game of a man.
Okay.
He has no game. Grown males have game. Men don't have game. The game for a man is a lack of game. I just come in my space of elevated manhood, which says I take responsibility for any and all things in my circle. I often ask brothers, I say, who is the leader of your house? They immediately say, I'm the leader of my house. And I say, why? I said, because, I tell people what to do. I said, So you think that leadership is telling somebody what to do, my brother?
Man.
You get ready to get yourself in trouble.
Right.
My wife is from the south side of Chicago, homeboy. I can't tell my wife to do nothing.
Do nothing.
You got the same kind of wife. You can't tell your wife to do nothing.
No, boy. You want to end the conversation quick? Give a direction.
If you are informed,
it ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
What you need to do is you need to be the example that everyone follows. You have to be the model that your house mirrors. So whenever I want my wife to do something, whenever I want my kids to do something, I become the model that they mirror.
Yes.
My level of excellence, the way I walk life out, is literally showing my house how to do this. When I wanted my family to get closer to God and I began studying the Bible, I studied the Bible first. I didn't tell nobody that they had to study the Bible.
Right.
I went to my Bible studies on my own. I got baptized again on my own. That led my family to follow me because they said, wow, my husband, my father is walking this out. And the way he's walking it out is so attractive to me that I want to follow that. When I wanted to become vegan, I didn't tell nobody that they had to stop eating meat. What I did was I walked out being vegan first. And everybody said, what's that you eating? What's that you eating? Now, let me give you a perfect example. My wife was a vegan before we got together. And she blames the
Didn't know that.
She blames the fact that she fell off the wagon on me.
Because of you.
Right? Now, I can't tell my wife to do, but what that taught me in that moment was, wow, I can't tell her what to do, but I'm obviously showing her what to do, and she's following my lead. And if she's following my lead, what does that make me? The leader. Based on the fact that I was eating meat and that she was accommodating me, she fell off of her vegan wagon because she was following me. So I said, okay, here we go. If I want to lead my family in a space of greater or better health, and I'm choosing vegan as that choice, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell nobody to not eat meat. I'm just going to be a vegan, and I'm going to walk that out powerfully. Now, guess what? My wife is now a vegan again. Guess what? My children are now going from vegetarian to vegan. I don't tell nobody what to do. I just do. And I do it so powerfully that people around me follow. You know, there's only two types of people in this world, DeVon: sheep and shepherds. So at the end of the day, as men, we have to make sure that we are being the shepherd that we want our folks to follow.
Now,
period.
I agree with everything you said. No doubt. No doubt. But here is my question. Without a father in your house, and not only a father in your house, but this Dondre that is enlightened has not always been the Dondre. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
So let's do two things. First, let's give an insight to the Dondre you were.
Yes.
And what that Dondre used to do. And then what was the turning point that got you to change? Because there are a lot of people listening right now, and they hear the Dondre, oh, he sounds so great.
Right.
Okay. But we know this wasn't always the Dondre.
Okay.
What was the previous Dondre? Help us understand that. And then what was the turning point?
So let me tell you exactly what this is, DeVon. This is fantastic. So I often describe myself in two parts: Disciple Dondre and Brooklyn Dre. Okay. Love Brooklyn Dre was the grown male. That had a lot of man-like qualities, but was still operating mostly from the flesh.
Okay, so let's just unpack this. What did that look like when you were operating mostly from the flesh?
Okay, so if you said something to me as and I know this is going to be hard for some people to believe, but as a light-skinned male, growing up in the environment that I grew up in Brooklyn, I had to fight every single day. So I learned to use my physicality as males. We are physical first.
Yes.
The difference between a grown male and a man is a grown male will lead with his physicality. A man will lead with his mentality. So what I learned to do in the street was to make sure that I was the first one, because I was the smallest one and I was the lightest one, to throw my hands first, because that's how I got respect in the street. So if you said something slick to me, it'd be nothing for me to smack you or to punch you upside your head. And you can ask anybody that grew up with me in Brooklyn, no problem. That's exactly how it went down.
Hey, Brooklyn Dre.
Brooklyn Dre, okay? As a matter of fact, when my wife and I got together, even when I was when I was on the Cosby Show, I was still living around the way. I was still having fights in the street while on television.
That's
my wife
crazy.
Dude, listen to me, bro. I was still in the hood Bushwick, Brooklyn. Shout out to BK in the house. Book, book. Y'all know what it is. On the hottest show, the most watched show in television history, I was still living around the way. I was still living in the hood and still had to fight. So Brooklyn Dre, that was the default mechanism. So the way I expressed myself was through my physicality. I spoke in the language of what I call in my book, the vocabulary of pain, which is cursing, right? So that expression comes from great pain, right? So I would lead in that vocabulary. That has been stricken from my vocabulary. Why? Because I'm a leader. I know that somebody is following my lead. I know that somebody is learning how to live their life based on trying to matriculate into manhood, based on the way I carry myself and based on the way I speak. I have a wife in here. I can't speak that way to my wife. Why? Because I'm trying to build love language. I can't do that with my wife. I got 2 children in here, a 14-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son. I can't speak that way to my children because if I speak that way to my 14-year-old daughter, she's going to perceive that language as love language. And now when she chooses a helpmate for herself, she's going to say to herself, hey, when a man speaks to me like that, like the way my father spoke to me, this is love. So I'm teaching her what love sounds like.
Right.
My 9-year-old son, if I speak that way to him, he says, hey, as I matriculate him into my manhood, that's what a man sounds like. I can't do that anymore. So for me, I will never forget this. I was involved with a woman in my life, and I can't say who that is because I have to protect the innocent. But I cheated on someone. And I will never forget. A lot of sisters say men don't care when they cheat. That's the narrative. That feels better. But really, we do care. Because when God created us to be the hero of our house. And when we're not, it's devastating. So I know that in causing her that devastation, this person who I loved, it devastated me. And I couldn't understand why I did that. And I began to go over the tapes of my life. And I went over the tapes of my life like grainy surveillance footage. And I came to this one moment between my father and I. And it was a powerful one. My father was a street hustler. So we're in this car, a Lincoln Mark V with the tire cut out in the back, so you feeling good about yourself. Everybody's looking at you, you having one of those moments with your father. And my father said, son, I love your mother and I would do anything for her. And I felt great in that moment. And in the very next moment, he catcalled out to a girl out of his window. The messaging that I got from that was, you can love one woman and lust after many.
Yep.
When I got to that moment, when I finally put my finger on that, I said, wow, that's how I did that. Because what I learned from the most important male in my life, my father, if this was good enough for my father,
then
it's got to be good enough for me.
That's right. That's right.
It's got to be good enough for me.
That's right.
And so in that moment, I said, whoa, I'm missing a great many things. And that started my sniffing out, my rooting out, my rooting out of what my matriculation into manhood had to be. And so I found a great group of men to be around. And then I got fathered by a bunch of different, Muhammad Ali fathered me, Malcolm X fathered me, Dr. King fathered me.
Yeah, exactly, man. You see.
You understand? Man,
yeah, Martin Luther King right there.
If I was downstairs, you'd have I got Muhammad Ali signed gloves and trunks. I got Malcolm X and Muhammad and Dr. King all up in there because they were my fathers. They fathered me. And so when I got to that space in my life, I said, wow, I am not the man that I thought I was.
And just so that I'm clear, I want to make sure everyone else is clear. So
Yes.
this moment when you were dating,
Yes.
and you cheated on a woman that you were with,
yes,
it brought you face to face with the fact that
with
much
who
as
I
at that
wasn't.
point, that's right. So you were
Yes.
thinking you were a man, but it revealed you were actually a male.
That's right.
Got it.
I thought I was a man,
Yeah,
and it revealed
yeah.
to me that I was simply a grown male.
Yeah,
a grown male, just so sisters know, and even so brothers know. Listen, if you, and one of the most devastating things that somebody could ever tell a boy is, you need to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because a boy has to finish boyhood first in order to get to his manhood. And many of us, because our fathers are out of the house and we essentially are the only male in the house, we are encouraged to become the man quickly.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine telling a 9-year-old? My son is 9 years old. It would be a joke.
What's he
to
know
tell
about
my
being
son
a man?
He don't know nothing about being a man right now.
Nor should he.
Nor should he, because he has to graduate from boyhood first.
Yes.
That is look at our brother Michael Jackson. Our brother Michael Jackson suffered from the fact that he had to forego his boyhood in order to become a man, because he was providing for the family.
Right.
And so subsequently, when he got to be an age where he should have been in his manhood,
he couldn't.
Where he should have been a man, he couldn't. He was suspended in a space of trying to finish his boyhood. That's how devastating it is to skip your boyhood and move into a space of manhood when you really don't know much about that. That's how devastating it is.
Dude, I mean, literally, dude, like, I have a whole chapter on this alone.
Brother.
Called, create a safe space, man. So everything you're saying, I'm like,
brother,
dude,
brother,
it's a fact. This box that as men, I'm just going to read this. I'm going to read this portion to you right here. In the box, this is the box that we are taught to live in. Society tells young males that being a man means being a conqueror, being tough, and not showing emotion. Many men in adolescence were and still are verbally abused, physically or sexually, if they didn't conform to these narrow norms, mocked as wimps or worse. Many were bullied or beaten by male authority figures that wanted to make a man out of us. The box that men are taught to live in breaks young men with childhood trauma, and that trauma has consequences later in life. Because, I'll say this last part, when boys are raised in traumatic environments, not only does that increase the chances that they will become abusive or violent towards women as adults, but it also increases the odds that they may also abuse their own children, which could turn them into future victims or abusers. We become broken, sometimes so badly, that repair will take a lifetime.
My brother, one of the reasons why I have not, and you know I have your book in my house.
No, I know, because
we talked about this.
Yes, we did.
One of the reasons why I haven't read your book yet is because I got to make sure that I stay clean. So I know stay clean.
I know.
Because once I read your book, it will attach itself to me. And I love it.
And likewise.
Yes, sir. What you said, what you touched on in your book is so supremely powerful. Let me just tell you how powerful that is. This is why you and I are brothers, and why from time to time I will send you some dirty messages about why we don't spend more time together. That's both of our responsibility, but you know what
we're gonna get it right in 2019.
Yeah. So because we are so like-minded, it's frightening.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I was beaten as a child at times for things that were almost laughable, because it's the thing that we pass down from generation to generation.
Sure.
Here's a fact, DeVon. Beatings were passed down to us through slavery. Our behavior was corrected by a slave master that look to correct our behavior through violence. The slave master never beat their children. They instructed their children. They never beat their children. So what does that tell you? What that tells you is that, one, there was a love that was involved in that slave master for his child, and they knew that with proper instruction, they could get the performance that they wanted out of their child. Sans violence. I have never, and I don't judge my mother, I don't judge my grandmother, I don't judge any of our ancestors for doing what they did, because we didn't have the information that's readily available to us now. Dr. Maya Angelou said, may she rest in peace, she said, people do better when they know better. With all due respect to our fallen sister, I say we do better when we choose better. Our sister was talking about generations that didn't have information, right? So when they got information, they typically did better. Well, now we live in a generation, and we live in a time where we have an abundance of information, and we're still not doing better. Why? Because we're not choosing better. I, as a father of a 14-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son, I have never laid a hand on my children, because I know that I will get the performance out of my children that I want, need, and desire from them with proper instruction and information. My kids are some of the most well-behaved children you're ever going to meet in your life, DeVon. You already know that. Okay?
They are.
No matter who you
all
ask.
done an amazing job.
No matter who you ask, thank you, my brother. I'm humbled by it. No matter who you ask about my children, you're going to get that same report. Not from me, from them, from instruction and information. I say that to your point in your book, which was so eloquently put and so effectively put, that we can create devastation in our people that will take a lifetime to heal. Because sometimes here's how deep it is, DeVon. Sometimes you don't even know what you're ailing from. It will place spaces of anger in you where you don't even realize why you're angry.
It's a fact. It's a fact. I dealt with a lot of anger growing up.
You understand? So when we go to it, let's say your body is giving you signs, sights, and signals that you need to go to the doctor. You go to the doctor and you tell him what your symptoms are. Based on those symptoms, he will be able to determine what the path of healing is. Well, what happens when you are suffering from things and you don't suffer from symptoms that you can recognize? How do you begin to heal those things when you don't even realize that you have those symptoms to begin with? Now, other people around you can recognize them because you're angry, you're violent, you're irritable, you're all of those things, right? And then when they present them to you, who are you talking about? No. I'm only like that because you made me that way, or you spoke to me that way, or you activated me. And we never deal with that because we don't even know how to diagnose what's going on inside of us. Sure. That's a tragic place to be, because you can go your entire life and we know a great many people, some of them are friends, some of them are family, that suffer from that space in not knowing what those things are, and those are the very things that put us in an early grave.
Absolutely.
And I can't pass that on. This is going to be the first. I have stopped that tragedy in my family. It's no longer going to happen, because I have now taught my children the way to, or the path to enlightenment is getting information and applying it to life. Have to.
Information and application.
Period.
The two go hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
One without the other is not going to work.
Man, it's devastating. And listen, can you imagine, the one thing that I have done and this is the one thing that has to be done with a son, because boys we're warriors, right? So boys are warriors. So the one time that I did put my hands on my son,
what did he do?
I had to snap. Well, you know, it was that he was disrespecting my wife, which
Don't talk to your mother that.
no male comes into my house and disrespects my wife,
Right,
including my son.
right.
And then the second part, you're not going to disrespect me. So he got a little bit of slick talk, and I had to grab him and literally say, hey, listen to me. And the look in my eyes, DeVon, he didn't see his father anymore.
No, it was Brooklyn Dre showed up.
Brooklyn, he saw this. Like, I don't know where my father just went, but whoever this dude is, I don't want no parts of him. That is a healthy fear in knowing, my son knowing that, wow, my father has the power to change the course of my life. That's a healthy fear of a son to a father. That's healthy. And then after we did that, I sat him down and I said, son, I want you to realize that should never happen. You should never disrespect your mother. You should never disrespect me, because when you do, you disrespect yourself first and foremost. And our conversation came down to here. And then I asked him, I said, son, what were you feeling when you were disrespecting your mother, when you were disrespecting me? Then what were you feeling when I grabbed you? I said, because what I want you to know is, if I don't grab a hold of you, society is going to grab a hold of you. And when society grabs a hold of you, it will devastate you. Every male has to be fathered, because if he goes unfathered, the state will attempt to father him. And the way the state fathers him is they lock him away or they kill him. And those are facts. And that's why we got to be so hands-on with our boys. Men have got the reason why we have so many grown males running around in society is because we don't have enough men producing men. The reason,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
That is a fact. Now watch, I'll further prove it. Every gangster that I've ever talked to in my entire life, DeVon, and I've spoken to many, they have all said how much they love their mother, how much they have respect for her, how much they adore her, but it didn't prevent them from gangbanging. So that tells you that the secret sauce in manhood is not the woman. It's the man. Grown males go to gangs because they are void of having what they perceive as a man in their life that shows them love. That's what they're looking for in that gang. Now, unfortunately, because they don't know any better, they're looking at other grown males who just happen to be strong in the space of gang affiliation.
But not actually looking at,
not being a man. Because
Yeah.
no man would ever bring death and devastation to his community, right? So they're operating a space out of a space of all that they know how to do, right? But this is why we wanted to have this conversation, because we are throwing around the title. Listen, man is a title that you earn. It's not something that you get when you're 18 or 21 or 25.
That's right.
Man is a title. You understand? Male is a gender. We are all males. But now you're being a man is a title that you earn. We keep throwing around. I saw this today, even when I posted the thing about R. Kelly, they were like, we got to get our men to stop. And I said, whoa, no, stop. Stop.
Wait a minute. Don't put us all in the same.
Those are not men. You can't call him, you can't give him the same title that you give me. That's not possible. We are throwing around the title of man like we throw around participation trophies for recreational sports at the end of the season for kids. Like no matter what. You just
You're
gonna
right.
get the title of
But
man.
no, but you're right. You gotta earn it.
Absolutely
I
not.
mean, and
You
I
gotta
talk
earn
about this
that.
in the book that, you know, so often one of the barometers that we use to define or judge, you know, a man is their public success. And so often we look at them in the public and we make a determination on who that man is. What I say in the book is that a man's public success tells you very little about who he is. His personal success. Who is he when he goes home? What are his conversations like with the other women in his life? What's his integrity like when no one else is watching? The personal success of a man tells you more about who that man is than anything that happens in public. However, we become so enamored, right, with the public success and who the man is out front. And even other men say, oh man, that man's successful. And women look at some men and say, oh, they look great, or they have this. But when you get home, it's like, wait a minute, this person in the public, it can be very different than the person at home, because too often we're focusing on what happens in the external at the expense of who we are internally. So I completely concur with what you're saying. And a lot of people, man, as you've been talking, have been asking about the book. This is stuff coming from my new book, The Truth About Men, What Men and Women Need to Know. And you can pre-order it right now. Matter of fact,
order that Joker.
I'm sending them a free copy. They will get a free copy. This copy right here, free copy. If they pre-order right now, we will send you a free copy right now of The Truth About Men. Right now, go to DeVonFranklin.com/the truth. Order the book, and you will get a free copy. There have been people all over the country that have been getting the book already. So please get it. One of the things, man, that you're saying that I want to hit on.
I gotta say something to expand on what you were saying.
Say it.
So often we encounter grown males who are what I call accomplished. They win awards. They have millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars. They are accomplished.
Yes.
But what makes you successful is whether you matriculate into your manhood or not.
That's right.
So you can be a grown male who is accomplished, and you and I know a great many.
Man,
that
just
people
open up
look
your
at.
phone. There's a whole lot of them in your Rolodex.
Homeboy, listen, let me tell you something, DeVon. I say this all the time. My network, just as yours, my network is vast, but my circle is small.
Yes.
My circle only consists of men, my brother. My network consists of a great many grown males that are accomplished in their chosen professions. And I use them to help me move in the space, just as you do, move in the space that we need in order to do what we do in our passion work. But my purpose work, which is what we're doing right now, is in a space of manhood. I only have men in my circle. I don't have grown males in my circle.
Nope, you can't do it.
I got grown males in my network.
Man, listen,
my
you about
network
to get me
is
to
vast,
run around
but my
this
circle
office
is
right
small.
here.
Okay? Grown males can be accomplished, but only men are successful.
Okay. See what you're saying,
we
man.
can do this all night, bro.
We can do it all night.
We can do this all night, bro.
We can do Shaq and Kobe. We can do Steph and Clay. Man, we could do it all night, bro. Because it's just like bam, bam, bam. Because see, here's what you're saying. In the book, and I haven't talked about this tonight, but I'll just say it. I say it every time we get on here and talk. I have a thesis of the book. My thesis, my truth about men is this, is that every man struggles between two things, love and lust.
Yes.
I call love the master. I call lust the dog. I believe in order for men to be successful, we have to master the dog. We have to put love in control of lust. Lust is selfish. It wants what it wants when it wants it, however it wants it.
That's right.
Love is selfless. It's sacrificial. Love of self, love of God, love of the woman in our life, love of family, love of community.
Love is service.
That's right. Exactly. Love is service.
Yes, indeed.
So if we don't put love, which is selfless, sacrificial, and we don't put it in control of lust, which is selfish, we as men will not be able to be the men we want to be. So when we let the dog in our life run our life, we become what the dog wants us to be. No matter what our marriage status is, no matter how our standing may be in the community, if we allow lust to run our life, we become like the dog within. Why is this important relative to what you just said? Because dogs run in packs.
No question.
And as men, we have to be very careful who we surround ourselves with.
No question.
Because we will find ourselves going with the pack if we align ourselves with men who allow the dog to run their life instead of allowing the master to run their life. This is why you and I get down, because we every day make a commitment to let the master within run our life. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have a dog. We got a dog.
Right.
We got
no question. But he ain't in control.
But he ain't in control.
He ain't in control. Watch this.
He ain't in control. Yeah.
Watch this. I have 2 dogs. In my house, right?
Yes.
Not the metaphorical, the real ones, right? So
when
I walk my dogs, I walk them. They don't walk me.
Oh,
so
man.
In other words, my dogs don't go out in front of me. They don't pull me.
No.
Right?
Because if they pull you, that means they are in control.
Hello. So
when they control that's it. Yep.
No question about it. And as soon as they do, which they do, they will have a notion to do, as dogs do, right? As soon as they pull, I'm like, hey. And I get back on the leash and I go, hey, you walk here with me. You want to walk with me. I ain't want to walk with you. No, sir. No, sir. Listen, my wife, and let me just tell you this. This is for every single sister. Sisters, I want y'all to listen to this carefully. Whatever you're doing that's distracting you, put it down. Listen to this carefully. My sister, Megan, DeVon's wife, aesthetically is a beautiful woman.
Amen and hallelujah.
You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. My wife,
Stevie Wonder could see that.
Stevie Wonder can see that all day, and he does. Because we know Stevie.
That's right. That's right.
My wife, Sally, anybody in their right mind can see that is an aesthetically pleasing woman to the eye. But here's what I want you all to know. My wife and I have been together for 21 years. 21 years. We've been married for 16 of those. Let me break this down for you. DeVon, what's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh man, I love sweets, man. Pineapple upside down cake.
Pineapple upside down cake.
Yes.
Feed yourself pineapple upside down cake for 21 straight years, every single day, every meal of the day.
I understand your point.
You gonna throw up, my brother. that pineapple upside down cake, you love it to death. But if you ate it every single meal, every single day for 21 years,
Yo.
Oh boy.
Yo.
Stop playing.
Okay, wait.
And
wait, hold, here's what we're gonna do. Wait. Before you give your punchline,
come on.
Guess what? Whenever you do a conversation, IG Live, it only lets you go for 60 minutes.
Oh my God.
I have a countdown. We have 55 seconds left. So here's what I'm gonna do.
Obviously,
I'm gonna end this conversation. No. I'm gonna end this conversation, and I'm gonna come right back so we can give the punchline. All right?
Come on, man.
All right. So listen, all y'all listening right now.
Y'all better come back.
Listen.
As they say, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm gonna drink me some water.
That's right, because my brother D got a powerful punchline that y'all need to hear. All right.
Like we never left. Like we never left. Like we never left. Come on, man. Come on. By the way, my brother, in case our folks who are watching don't know, this is a TV show.
Yo, that's what, you know what someone just put in the comments? Black Table Talk.
This is a TV show, bro.
That's it. It sure is.
Come on, man.
Come on, y'all. We will tear it up.
Come on, man.
Because
we this right here, we literally could do this every. There's so much to deal with.
Yep.
And every single day, here's what okay. So before I lose. Say
the punchline. So the pineapple upside down cake.
The pineapple upside down cake.
If you eat it for 21 years, it'll make you sick. So those that just tuned back in, Dondre's about to give us the punchline.
every day, every meal. And for those that are just coming in, what we were talking about was the fact that most of our brothers think, and most of our sisters think that, well, because I'm beautiful and I look a certain way, or I'm built a certain way, that the man that I'm with, or the grown male that I'm with, is not going to cheat on me or look other places. And here's how we as men fool ourselves. We think that the aesthetics of our woman is strong enough to keep us in the space that we're supposed to be in.
It
is not.
It's not. This is the truth about men.
Is not.
A big truth about men.
It is not. Look, sisters, just so you understand this, when you go, let's say you go and you get you a pair of shoes, and I don't know if you like, and I'm sure, DeVon, you got the same problem. Your wife got the same problem that my wife has. She will go and get her a pair of shoes, a bag. She just got her a bag tonight. She just showed me a bag. That bag in about a week is going to go in the closet where all bags go to die.
I know the closet, my brother. I know.
Do you understand? and in another week or another month, it's going to be a new bag.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As men, we are built to respond physically. We're physical creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So we operate from a space of physicality first.
Mm-hmm.
So when I said to you earlier that when I was operating out of a space of being Brooklyn Dre, first, it was out of a space of my flesh, or operating out of a flesh space first. So what I had to do was, in matriculating into my manhood and really becoming a man and going to an elevated space in my manhood, I had to come from a space of my spirituality and my mentality first, and allow that to navigate my steps, and not allow my flesh to navigate my steps. Because whenever I gave in to my flesh, I always got into trouble.
Yes.
Let me say that again. Always. Not sometimes. Always.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Now,
yes. We always do.
We always do.
Yes.
So if you think that the aesthetics of your wife is going to keep you out of the street, you are sadly mistaken. You have got to allow for me, what navigates me every single day is living my life as Christ is my model that I mirror.
Yes.
Christ was the embodiment.
Must be committed to the master.
Do you understand? So that Christ was the embodiment of God in the flesh.
Yes.
Christ was the embodiment of God in the flesh. So if Christ could do that, what that told me was, I'm capable of that, but I have to be conscious of my Christ.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
That's
when I talk about the master in us, that's the same idea.
Yes.
That we got to be aware that there's a higher man, there's a love in us that is stronger. That Christ in us is stronger than that lust in us. However, because we are so consistently in touch with that lust, that dog, so to speak, right? It makes it hard sometimes to tap into the Christ in us, the master in us, the love in us, And to the point you just made, I got to read this. Again, y'all, for y'all just tuning in, this book is called The Truth About Men. It's my new book. You can pre-order it right now. I put it in the comments, DeVonFranklin.com /the truth. If you order now, I only have a few more copies. I will send you for free this advanced reader copy. So I want to read this to you. We're talking about the dog, right? That's my analogy for lust in us.
Right.
The dog doesn't disappear when you fall in love or say, I do. I was so upset when I discovered this. And one of the reasons, I just want to interject, one of the reasons why I'm reading this, because, some women say, what? You got to have the truth about men, because sometimes I have found that women want men to tell them the truth. But then when men tell the truth, they get mad at the truth the men tell. So I wanted to put this in the book because just because your man may have these other thoughts or feelings, it does not mean he does not love you.
That's
it is
right.
a man trying to deal with what's in him, and sometimes he didn't have an outlet to deal with it. So here's
That's
what I
right.
wrote in The Truth About Men. I was so upset when I discovered this. I love my wife with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. That being said, I'd be lying if I said I'd never had a lustful thought about another woman. This is what
Amen.
I write. While I've been married, I'll never forget how right after we got married, I thought, amen, I'll never have to deal with the dog again.
Again.
Wrong.
Wrong.
The nuptials only put the dog to sleep.
Yes.
When it woke up, these lustful thoughts came upon me and I was angry.
Yes.
I didn't have a need or want or desire for another woman at all. Yet somehow the dog would howl anyway. Anger turned to guilt, then to shame, and then to frustration. I began to ask, what in the heck is wrong with me? Many men get frustrated when they discover that the dog is still there after they fall in love or get married. And they're surprised and upset that they still have to manage their lustful feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But all men deal with this. All men.
A-L-L.
Men.
All.
A-L-L. Like all Dondre, all
Yes.
men.
All men.
I have come to learn that lust is way more powerful than I ever understood.
Yes.
And it can be enticed even against our will. I'll read this and we'll finish. Take Instagram, for example. How many times have you been scrolling through your feed when a picture of an attractive woman comes up and instantly the dog starts to bark? What this has caused me to realize is that the dog can't be eliminated, only trained, controlled, and mastered.
Man. Brother,
yo,
that right there is fire, because that is just truth. The truth. And let me tell you something. You know, it's so interesting because while you have to manage your dog, to your point, and master your dog, what you also have to do is you have to get your wife on board and be truthful about what you have to struggle with every day.
Okay. Yes.
So watch this.
This is so important.
This is
for
so
anybody
important.
Watching right now, you gotta listen to this, because if you're in a relationship or a marriage, and you're a woman and you're in a relationship with a man, what Dondre is saying is so important. Keep going.
So because what happens is that rather than reveal to our woman what we're struggling with, because we think that will break out the great sleuth in her, and then she'll go around trying to find stuff and ask us questions, because she's already asking questions, right?
That's right.
But here's what most brothers don't understand. The reason why she's asking all of these questions is because she lacks understanding.
Right.
And if you give her some understanding, she will have less questions.
Yes.
If you bring her, I'll give you an example. If your wife asks you to do a bunch of things around the house, let's say you do them, she's still going to ask you whether you did them or not.
It's called accountability. You have responsibility, and you got to have accountability for responsibility.
Right? So she doesn't know whether you did them or not. So of course she's asking you whether you did them. So she has questions. And then you go, yeah, I did them. Why you keep asking me? Because I don't know whether you did them or not. Right. If you want to get out in front of the questions, give her the answers. Yeah. So she says, hey, here's what I'd like you to do. A, B, C, D, E. And before she asks whether you did them, say, hey, I did it, A, B, C, D, E. Guess what? There's no need for questions anymore, right? Because now you've gotten out in front of the questions.
Yes.
The same can be said for what you're going through and what you would like her to help you with.
That's right.
So let me give everybody an analogy. Sisters, pay attention to this. Brothers, put it in your playbook. When a sister says to the man that she thinks is going to be the helpmate in her life. She is virtually saying to the hunter, I now want you to hunt no place else. I now want you to make this the reservation that you only hunt in. Our house becomes the only reservation that you are allowed to hunt in. Stay with me. Here's what happens. In the beginning, the hunting is awesome. Then what happens is, every time he's ready to hunt, there's a sign on the gate that says, no hunting. Now, I'm going to get,
my brother, we having some real truth tonight.
We having some real conversation right now, DeVon. We having some real, they don't talk about this. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you this. Okay, so now watch this. The brother says, okay, I'm going to come back tomorrow. He comes back tomorrow. Still, same sign. No hunting.
Woo.
All week long, no hunting. Here he is. He's sitting there. He's like, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. Now watch this. My sisters, I want y'all to listen to this very carefully. When a brother cheats, does he cheat up or down? He cheats down. Why? Mm-hmm. Because that's the low-hanging fruit.
That's right.
And he wants to feel like the hero in the space that he's in. In his home, every man wants to feel like the hero in his house. I'm going to write a book called The Hero and the Herd. Every woman wants to be heard, and every man wants to be the hero.
Deep.
The minute that the man doesn't feel like the hero in his house, trouble. Trouble. And when he's not allowed to hunt, trouble. So he goes out and he cheats down because the hunt is easy there, right? What you now have to do is you have to allow your wife, your woman, to understand, sweetheart, and this is what I had to tell my wife. True story. You guys can hear her on Instagram right now if you want. I said, babe, my job is to keep me out of the street. Your job is to make it easier for me to stay out of the street. Your job is to help me stay out of the street.
I love it.
By not having the sign, no hunting on that gate. So now, this is real talk.
Real talk.
This is the realest talk ever, bro.
Man, hey, you can't get this anywhere, man.
You are not going to get this anywhere. My wife is my accountability partner for my flesh.
Come on, say it.
My wife is my accountability partner for my flesh.
Yep, mine too.
Every once in a while, and I'm not kidding you, this is how real it is with me and my wife. You know, because you guys travel, we travel too. So sometimes you haven't connected in weeks. I will send my wife a text message. Hey.
Where we meeting?
What hotel, what city?
Just name the place.
Name the place. Conjugal, like I literally will go, conjugal visit. When and where?
I love it.
Why?
I love it.
Because like, for instance, I shoot my television show in Louisiana, DeVon. Do you know how many sisters are there to accommodate my need if I so choose? Come on, bro. You know what it is.
Man.
My job is to make sure I stay out of those New Orleans streets.
Yes. And I love how you said it. You need Sally's help to do it.
I need my wife's help to do it.
Dude, I mean,
I can't
like
do
you talk
it
about
without
alignment. This is how aligned we are. This is how aligned we are. Again, you're just saying stuff. I'm going to read another chapter, another passage that is so aligned. Listen to this. Here's what I wrote. In my new book, The Truth About Men, What Men and Women Need to Know, I have a whole chapter on how to master the dog. This section is called Mastery in Marriage. Men, if you aren't having sex frequently enough with your wife, don't be afraid of communicating openly with her about your needs.
Yes,
However,
indeed.
know this. If you're feeling this way, she's probably feeling this way too. The master in a man must create a safe, non-judgmental environment in order to have the conversation.
Yes.
You might even want to write down how you feel, your frustrations regarding your sex life, and your honest desire to find a solution. So when you talk with her, you can stay focused and calm.
Yes.
There have been times when Megan and I have discussed this issue, and I was upset. I didn't handle it very well. As a result, she completely shut down.
Yes.
However, after handling it so poorly, I regrouped, and when I was more loving, understanding, and sensitive,
Yes.
I brought it up again, and the change in attitude helped us both find common ground so we could discover what worked for us both. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. This is what the master is seeking: common ground. Some women may have emotional, sexual, physical, or spiritual issues that may not surface until marriage. So it's important for men not to allow the frustration that can come with the infrequency of sex to creep into the conversation. A healthy environment must be created where a wife feels comfortable being honest with her husband about this issue. I guarantee having an environment like this will be a positive step to resolving whatever underlying issue there may be. A sex therapist or counselor may need to be consulted. Don't be afraid to bring someone into your marriage who can help in this critical area. There are so many reasons why sex and marriage can become so sporadic. So don't be alarmed. Stay committed to finding a healthy solution, no matter how long it takes.
I love
Boom.
That
Truth
right
about
there.
men. Boom.
That is truth right there all day long.
Man.
And let me just say to that point, you talked about not being able to stay calm. One of the things that I talk about in my book, Male versus Man, is the fact that as men, we have to be able to be calm in the midst of chaos. Your house is going to listen, I know that when I drive up to my house, the first thing that I do before I come in the house is say, "Ho, is something got you on fire?" Because when you walk in the house, there's going to be something in your house that's going to attempt to set you on fire.
Yes.
Your wife, your kids, pets, financial nonsense, career nonsense, whatever that is. When you step in that door, something in there, in managing your expectations, something in there is going to try to set you on fire.
Yep.
And if you are already on fire, you will not be able to be calm. Someone who puts out fire, which is what a man is supposed to be, someone who puts out fires has to be calm. Think of a fireman. A fireman has to be calm, even when he's in a burning building. And sometimes when you're in the throes of love and you're talking to your wife, it's going to feel like you are in a burning structure.
Man, yes, it will.
And if you can't remain calm, look, if you are on fire, look, this is the truth. And I'm a man, so I hold men to a higher standard. If you are on fire, your house is on fire. Period. My wife, period. My kids can be, in the midst of calamity. My wife can be in the midst of calamity. That part is on her. But God sent me here to be a space of calm in the midst of this chaos because I have been sent here to be a shepherd. Period.
Amen. Period.
And all of those things, to your point, in speaking about, look, if you want a marriage to go sideways, have your sex life go sideways. Have your sex life go sideways. I know that my marriage is in a great space. When my wife comes to, look, Okay, and this is not meant in a braggadocious way at all. But this morning I was sitting there and I was pounding away at my keys and everything. My wife came over to me and she said, "Hey, so tonight, let's be ready." And I was like, "Hey,
Happy New Year."
Amen. 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 Because when a woman comes to you,
oh man,
and offers it over,
man.
you know that not only are you doing what you're supposed to be doing as a husband,
man,
you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a provider. You're doing
Yep.
what you're supposed to be doing as a father. You are truly being a servant, which is what God sent you here to be. Because,
That's right.
and brothers, I want you to hear this. Sisters, I'm not just going to, be here to sit here and tell you that you need to do what you're supposed to do, because I also know that sisters say, well, sometimes I feel like he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And if he was doing what he was supposed to be doing, I would be more open and readily available to him, because I have needs too that I want to have met.
Yes.
And when we as brothers, when we do what we're supposed to do as men, when we are servants and we serve the house, then a woman really has no, can you think about it this way? If you do all the things that you're supposed to be doing, can you imagine how ridiculous it would be for your wife to withhold sex from you?
But dude,
that would be ridiculous.
Dude, it would be ridiculous. But you have just unlocked the key, right? We know, Khaled, DJ Khaled talk about major keys and all that kind of stuff. This is the key. What you just said is the key. And that's why you're writing your book, Man vs. Male. And that's why I've written my book, The Truth About Men. It's because we as men have to take accountability and responsibility. So what you're saying relative to our sex life in marriage is, as the man, how can I take leadership, accountability, and responsibility? And truth be told, many times when the sex life is off, it's because as men, there's something that we have not done.
That's right.
Or there's something we did in the wrong way that rubbed her the wrong way.
That's right.
And it has built a resentment in her, right? And going back to the root of the problem. So there's the root of the problem, there's a symptom. Sometimes the symptom of a problem is there's a disruption in sex life. And you may not know that there's a larger issue until the sex gets disrupted.
That's right.
So then once you say, oh, wait, what's going on? And then the real problem comes up. Oh, well, you talked to me this way.
Here's why. That's right.
Or you did this way and it made me feel that way.
That's right.
Oh, got it. So as a man, I wasn't necessarily doing my work. As a man, I thought, oh, yeah, because I'm a man, I can say this. I'm the husband. I can do this. But to what you just said, which I think is so profound, right? As the firefighter, we got to be calm, right? We have to say, okay, you know what? Let me not let my desire for sex outweigh my ability to lead my household. Period. And to be a safe space for my wife. Period. Because I put this in the book. Most women, by the time they get to marriage, have endured all kinds of abuse.
Oh my God.
Sexual, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual abuse. I mean, so much. So marriage, if a man has the right perspective on marriage, marriage can be an environment where a woman can heal from the abuse. However,
no question,
when we have this manhood, this mentality that, you know what, okay, because I'm the man, it's my way. So like you talked about earlier, if we don't lead through service, if we don't lead through example, and we just lead because I say so, we bring that chauvinistic attitude into marriage. It can become another form of abuse. So instead of the marriage being a place for her to heal, it becomes a place where even more abuse happens, because she now has no space where she can even talk openly or honestly about how she feels, about what's really going on. And when she does, and when she is honest, her man won't accept it. Well, why won't you give me this? And then she feels like, well, hey, if I don't give it to him, then he's going to go cheat. But I don't really want to give it to him because he's not really giving me what I need, which is love, consideration, communication. So it is so important, my brother, what you just said, for us as men to start taking accountability and responsibility. Just because we're men, we can't talk to a woman any kind of way, even if she's even if it's if she is our wife. We got to manage our tone too. We got to do it.
No question. Listen,
and I love what you're saying, because I think it's absolutely correct.
You know, I literally, I tell people all the time, particularly when I'm counseling, because I counsel married couples too. And
right
in that space, one of the things that I point out to them is, hey, listen, and I usually give this to the man, but really both people should be in a friendly competition of love. How can I better love my partner? Right.
Yeah.
And in the midst of these times where there is chaos, you know, when they teach you to drive, they tell you to put your hands at 10 and 2.
Yeah.
Right. So you put your hands at 10 and 2, right? I said, and I tell my brothers all the time, I'm like, listen, sometimes your woman is going to be on 10. She is like off the roof. She is gone. She is on 10. But if you're going to be in control of this situation, you got to be on 2. In order for you to steer this space where it's supposed to go. You understand? Because
I do.
If she's on 10 and you on 10, a war is getting ready to break out.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And somebody's got to bring it back to the love language space. And watch this. So often our sisters, one of the reasons why my responsibility as a father is so great is because my daughter is rehearsing how to be in a love relationship with a man. I am her rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
She learns how to speak to a man, how to communicate to a man, how to be in regular everyday relationship to a man, what activates a man, what deactivates a man, based on her rehearsal with me. Well, what happens when our sister doesn't have that in her house? How does she know how to do that? How does she know how to do that with you? How do you know how to do it if you never had a man model it for you? I have often said that my wife and I were ill prepared to be in a marriage because I didn't have my father to teach me how to be a husband. And she's a black woman from the south side of Chicago who was a product of another black woman from the south side of Chicago who didn't have her father in the house. And let me tell you something, homeboy. South side of Chicago, Brooklyn.
Man, I mean, that's just
homeboy.
Wait, hold on, D, man. I'm getting another message from Instagram that I got a minute remaining in this conversation, man.
Okay.
Dude. I mean, this is why you know we got the real truth.
Brother.
We're going to do a part 2.
Listen, we got to do a part 2, bro.
Man, listen,
we got to do it.
Before Instagram
we got to do it.
Off, we're going to save this. We're going to post it. I only got a few copies of The Truth About Men left.
Hey, you know, by the way,
yes.
Tracy Blackwell is on fire with us about the fact that she couldn't make this conversation. And she's like, well, is it going to be up anywhere? And I'm like,
yeah, we're going to put it. We're going to put it up.
Okay. Woo!
We're going to put it up.